absolutely love the collectible Nancy dolls made by Famosa, such as the beautiful 2023 Gala Anniversary doll that I've already introduced to you. But I was a little bit hesitant to try one of the new Nancy's with the new face sculpt for a few reasons. She just is a little bit childish in her appearance, and her accessories tend to be, well, kind of over the top, pink and sparkly. Not really what I see as a collectible. There are some cute ones like this, but I think cute is the right word. However, when I spotted the Aitana doll, I didn't actually know the celebrity that it was made on, but I was immediately drawn to maybe not more sophisticated clothing, but what I felt was a much more interesting and involving sort of full style for this doll. She has, less of the pink. As you can see, there's no pink at all on her, and just a more complex face and design. This doll is actually the first ever Nancy to represent a celebrity, and I was excited to get hold of her and see what I felt about the new Nancy and to compare her with that classic Nancy. That really is such a beautiful doll. Nancy Aitana's box is very large, and it is absolutely made to display, which I like about it. I think this is a box that collectors will be happy about, and doesn't pose any problems for children either. It comes down the side. It displays various different photos of Nancy and of Aitana, the original singer, who the doll is based on. Obviously, because this is an authorised likeness, they can do that, and I think that's a really nice reminder of why the doll is how she is. The logo and labelling is very nice, and it does say it's got a certificate of authenticity. I don't know if this doll is limited or numbered, or if that will make any difference to her value later on, but I guess that is a good thing to have. The other thing I like about the display box is that Nancy is posed in quite a fun way. So if you're someone who is an inbox collector and wants to leave her that way, she's ready for display, she's fun, she's dancing, I guess. Now this doll her likeness is obviously of the singer Aitana. It's from a video clip of a song called Las Bebes, which is also shown here. I like that, the styling, the way Nancy's posed in the box sort of highlights the idea of, the song is about dancing all night, and that's kind of highlighted in her poses. On the back of the box, we can see more highlighting that. We've got Nancy here as if she is in the clip, and I think that's really cool. To get the box open, there's a little snip here that is pretty straightforward to get into. Just snap it out. As with many of these boxes, we've got to cut some tape as well before it fully opens. I still prefer that enormously to cutting open the plastic. These are boxes that are able to save if you want to, because they do tend to come out pretty well. So if you have a look at how well that has slipped out with no damage to the box at all, I really like that. As a collector, a lot of people are going to want to save the boxes. We've also got these little snaps here that we can just slip her arm out of. It's not not restrictive at all. We can see, I forgot to note the tattoo here from the real singer. We do have some plastic snips in her head, which is disappointing, and I do note that the collector Nancy's do not have anything attached to the head. That is much more like a Barbie attachment, whereas the collector Nancy, she slipped out without any of those. We've got lots and lots of snaps around her ankles as well. I will admit that I often find opening a doll box to be a bit like doing a puzzle in reverse. You have to figure out what is attached where and how to undo it, and they can be quite challenging. This one was one of those, and for the wire down here I ended up using wire cutters, which a lot of people probably won't even have in the house, especially kids. I could have got her out by tearing the box as well, but the wire itself was just so hard to untwist that it just didn't want to come. There were also a lot of other snips, and I ended up pulling her head out, and as you can see there are still a lot of snips attached to her hair, so I'm going to be cutting those off in a sec, but she is free, and you know, we can see all her different details now. So she's got these very cool hoop earrings. They are extremely flimsy plastic though. Maybe hard to tell, or you can probably see how they're kind of bending in my hand. I feel like they could snap. Her necklace is proper metal, and that's good. I'm going to have to cut a snip, which is attached to her shirt. It always worries me when things are actually attached in the fabric, because, you know, that can leave damage. The shirt itself has a little bit of ruching, which gives it some shape, and I think it's cute that there's the Nancy detail down here. For a fairly reasonably priced doll, I think that's a pretty cute detail. And by reasonably priced, this doll costs about 40 euros in store. She's also got these pants, which, yeah, or the whole outfit is made to represent the one from the clip. They are super flare pants, which have glitter printing and these like ruffle things on the side, not really sure what to call them. There's a lot of detail to these pants, and if we have a look on the back, they've got some non-functional pockets, but again, for the price point, that's quite a lot of detail. Nancy's always have Velcro attachments, no real surprise for a doll at this value. That's fine. It's not my favourite. It's okay. The boots, they're just pieces of plastic, but they're pretty cool. You know, they're big, they're chunky, they have some nice detailing to them. Even the certificate of authenticity is attached with straps. It is in a roll, and you do have to cut a little bit of tape to open it. There we can see the likeness of the singer again, and you know, some words describing that it is a certificate of authenticity. I can't read the remaining Spanish, but I can see that is written there. There's nothing on the back of this one. It is not numbered, so to be honest, I don't really think that that adds, you know, much to the value or interest of the doll. I mean, I can tell without that she's the Aitana Nancy. Kind of goes without saying, doesn't it? Couldn't really fake that. Nancy is completely free now. I have also cut off the little snips which were attached to her head. I got them all off without damaging her hair, but it annoys me that I can still feel them. It's something I really dislike in dolls, but you know, so be it. I am aware that many have them. I just wish they didn't. And just to note, the collector Nancy did not have any snips in her head. That said, I really love this doll's hair, hairstyle and face. The cute black bob, obviously based on the singer, is a less overly feminine. I guess when I sort of think about a doll, I think of, you know, overly long hair and, exaggerated in that way. And this tones it down a bit, but is absolutely gorgeous. The hair is pretty nice quality. It does have quite a bit of product in it. So it's, yeah, I feel in here it's quite hard. It just doesn't need that. I guess it's so that it holds that shape where it's, you know, sort of pointing outwards, as you can see, but I just can't see it needing that. So that's a little bit annoying. Her face itself, I think it's gorgeous. It's so, I mean, you know, they're not realistic, but so cute. She's got these very big eyes, very long eyelashes, a really sweet sculpting, and I just feel that the makeup that she's got, and note the eyebrows, if you, yeah, I think we can see them quite nicely here. There is a lot of detail to those for a factory play doll that only costs, you know, the equivalent of about $40. She has a lot of detail, and I love that. I think her big eyes, you know, they're super unrealistic, but they're just really sweet. You can see there's quite a few flyaway hairs. I think I love her hair, but it may start to annoy me in a little while. We will see. The only thing I would say is that her accessories are pretty simple. I like the necklace, but she doesn't have, you know, a bracelet or anything. And I know she is based on, you know, a real person, and she does have the tattoo and things to make up for it. But, you know, I guess for a doll like it's not that many accessories, but what she does have, I think, is fantastic at the price point. I love her clothing. And yeah, there's a surprising amount of detail to it. I had heard that the new Nancy was a little bit taller than the original Nancy sculpt. I'm surprised how much that is. If you have a look at the two of them here, there actually is a very big difference in the height. And obviously keep in mind that this doll's shoes, Aitana's shoes, are much, much thicker. These ones are essentially flat to the floor. But, you know, that's only about 1/2 centimetre. Whereas if we have a look, there's actually about 2 centimetres difference from where the original Nancy's shoulders sit to where new Nancy's shoulders are. So I'm wondering how well these two can share clothing. Hopefully they can share clothing very well. I might actually give them a little bit of a swap once I take their clothes off, and we'll just see how that goes. Without the clothes on, the similarities and differences to the bodies become fairly clear. The biggest one is obviously the legs. New Nancy has longer legs and skinnier thighs. The bust is slightly more defined, a little bit more like a small adult bust than like an early teen bust. She also has built-in underwear, which the previous version of the Nancy body has, you know, the cloth underwear. I do prefer that, you know, significantly. You can't see it in the video, but this one is much more lightweight feeling. You know, you pick her up and she feels very, very light, whereas this one feels quite sturdy. It's clearly a higher quality plastic. The arms are very similar. These ones are slightly more elongated, slightly skinnier, but we've still got, I mentioned when I took this Nancy out, that, you know, the thing about Nancy that had always stood out to me was the small arms, and that's no different in either doll. We've still got the very exaggeratedly short arms. Yes, I think that's a styling choice, so that has been kept. So I'd say this one overall a little bit thicker, and this one overall a little bit slimmer and taller, but quite similar. The feet look fairly different to a point that I'm not sure whether they will be able to share shoes or not. She has much larger, more defined toes, and she has a little bit more sort of lines and sculpting, but the toes themselves are, you know, significantly smaller looking. So I'm going to see how they go in each other's clothing now. They actually look fantastic in each other's clothes, and with a few small variations, they fit reasonably well. So the shoes of this Nancy do not fit this one. I noted that her feet seemed bigger, and yeah, she could not wear those shoes at all. Her shoes do go onto this doll because they're so chunky. They kind of fit over the ankles, and it doesn't really matter that the foot is, you know, bigger because it still holds on nice and well. And because it's so chunky, the pants aren't ridiculously too long, but they are still too long. And look, I'll be honest, I think that this outfit looks amazing on Nancy Aitana, whereas her outfit doesn't look so good on the older Nancy, because I guess it's just kind of the wrong styling. She's that vintage face look, wearing this modern, almost sexy outfit. So this doll's not wearing shoes, and that sort of helps to make the dress not too short on her, and it does look stunning. The only thing is that it didn't fully do up. I noted that her bust seemed a little bit larger, and obviously that's showing where the dress doesn't do up. But generally speaking, I think these dolls can share clothes reasonably well. There was one thing I didn't mention when I was looking at the bodies that I noted as I was dressing them. I guess it hadn't really stood out to me before. That is the way the neck joint is done. As I did the necklaces, I saw this. The new Nancy, her neck is jointed, below the head. I would have thought that would be to allow her to have more head tilt, but actually she really has none. She just swivels back and forth. Whereas the original Nancy, she is jointed at the base of the neck, so she just swivels as well. So yeah, I found it a little bit odd that has changed without actually making, what I perceive as any sort of upgrade to the movement of the dolls. And I did have a question after my last video about Nancy as to how big she was. And just for your reference here, you can see her with a 16-inch fashion doll. This is a Jean Marshall doll from Ashton Drake Galleries. You can see that they're all considered to be about 16 inches or 40 centimetres tall. I think modern Nancy might be 42 centimetres. But obviously the build is quite different. That said, if you're looking for some new clothes for one of your traditional 16-inch fashion dolls, you could definitely adapt some Nancy clothes to fit her. They would not fit outright, but they could easily be adapted, because as you can see, the height is nearly the same. Nancy is just a much, bigger build. This doll has been incredibly popular in the Spanish market. She was the best-selling doll in November 2023, leading up to Christmas, the best-selling toy in Spain, and you can see why. She's at a really affordable price point, and she is incredibly detailed and well executed for a doll at that price point. I'm actually super impressed. There are so many things I like about this doll, and I'm really glad to have her in my collection, despite a few, minor reservations, like, the quality feel of the body, the hair, and perhaps the way she's attached in the box. I love almost everything about her. I'm almost embarrassed to admit it, because, she is a play doll for kids, and I actually think she's one of the best dolls I have bought recently. Now, she has received some criticism, and perhaps if you know more about the original singer, if you're from the Spanish market, might be something to take into account. The song that this is based on it has received criticism itself, very popular, but not necessarily presenting good values to the kids that it is presenting to. It's about partying and dancing all night long, and the doll being marketed for kids and representing those kinds of values has received criticism. So I guess just be aware of that, and maybe if I were buying this doll for my own daughter, that would be something to take into account. But I like to look at toys purely from a collector's standpoint, and I don't know much about the singer, which I've tried to learn a little bit more about her since buying it, but I don't know a lot about her. So I guess it doesn't have that sort of, doesn't sit with me, it doesn't make it a problem as to whether the value's there or not. I'm just thinking about whether I think she is a good doll to have, and whether she's worth it as a collector doll. And I would have to say, for what I paid for this doll, I reckon she's one of the best dolls I have purchased. Please let me know what you think and whether this is a doll that you might want to get for your collection. And please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel.